Welcome back to the channel. I'm about to start a new project and I'm going to take you along for the ride. I have a guitar that I had for sale. I had it on Reverb, offer up, and I decided I think I'm going to keep this guitar because I always want to have a Stratocaster around. You always have to have if you like guitars, you can't not like a Stratocaster. But I'm just kind of like sick of Stratocasters and kind of sick of Fender. Like I've worked on a bunch of their guitars and their shoddy work has just turned me off. Not what Leo accomplished, not all the history, just their crappy. I'm complaining about it and it puts money in my pocket. But I'm just so turned off. But I did come across a 40-year-old Squier and I decided the only thing I really don't like about this guitar is the frets they had so many grooves in them. And so I dressed them. You might have saw the video where I did a video on this guitar. It's a 1984 Squier Bullet 1 S2 model made in Japan. Here's the body. Kind of a student guitar, but it has a 25.5-inch scale. It's not a short scale guitar. And I thought, I can't sell this. I love this. I'm not going to get a Strat. I'll just keep this. It's Strat enough for me, right? So... and it sounds fantastic. I was playing it and thinking, this thing just sounds awesome. It really sounds cool. It may have a little different tone than a Strat because I'll show you a Strat pickup on here. The same 25.5-inch scale. The Strat pickup, like the neck pickup there, you can see the neck pickup has more treble and a little less bass. And the bridge pickup, you can see, has about the same treble and a little less bass. So it does sound a little bit different. I'm not the guy that wants to change pickups. I've done so many pickup changes and these are just fine. I'm going to leave the original ones in there. They've got the pole pieces underneath these covers and the pots work great. The switch works great. The tuners work really good. They're not going anywhere. The original Japanese Fender branded tuners. This different looking bridge looks fine. I did have to change that first screw there because somebody was turning it with pliers. It was all bent up. It looked crappy. I didn't really want to have a different one there, but look at the paint job somebody put on this guitar. Talk about quality. Lack of it. It's got a bunch of dents in it. I might, besides fretting it and putting a new nut on it, I might give it a paint job. I don't know. That won't make it sound any better, but it just, when you get up close and look at it, it looks pretty hideous. So yeah, this is the new project. I've got some Jescar frets that I put the same frets in these two guitars. They're 57 thousandths tall and 110 wide. So these are they're big frets. That's what I like. I like big frets. So I think this is going to be my Fender single coil style guitar. So I'm really looking forward to it. The frets are en route along with the nut, but that won't stop me from taking these frets out and getting the slots prepared. I do the 5-minute epoxy glue in. I've got some of those frets that I've never used. You always get like 24 in a pack, and I only ever really needed 22. So I got a few so I can get the slots ready ahead of time so I have a little less work to do when they do show up. So that's the project. Fret job, a new nut, and possibly a paint job. Pretty simple paint job here. But anyway, let's get to it. So here they are. They really came out nice. I think there was one that chipped a tiny bit here. That's the extent of it. The frets I'm putting in are so wide, they'll cover that. It won't even matter. You can see the people's nails touching the fretboard. But I've got a little glue in here, and I'm going to heat up the screwdriver and I'm going to take this glue out. Well, the tang size, that would be the part, this bottom part that goes in to the slot, right? They seem to be the same thickness with my micrometer. Okay, I've changed my mind. I am not going to refinish this fretboard. And what I've done, I've taken some 320 and I've got the tape about as wide as this jumbo fret that's going to be going in there. And just sanded everything smooth. So, basically, here's the fret size we're going to be putting in. So that'll work perfect. And then I don't have to refinish it. And if I did refinish it, like the dent, I got a dent over here, that I'm not going to sand that out. And these dents here, I don't care about a couple little beauty marks. This is a 40-year-old guitar. So I think I'm just going to do that. So I got this one done. I'll just do the rest that way. It'll work out real good. So here is the fretboard. See where I sanded? So when the frets go in now, it's got a nice smooth surface. I don't have to worry about one fret not going in because of, you know, built up grunge that was on here. And it looks scary, but these are wide frets, so they're going to cover a multitude of sins. I just thought, you know, why am I going to do this? I can't be bothered. I just want it to play really good, because the only thing I didn't like about this guitar was the completely worn out frets. So, heck, maybe I won't even repaint that body. I'll get the frets in, and then we'll worry about stuff like that. I want to get it together and play it, because the thing was great other than these little worn out, these totally little tiny worn out frets. Okay, so just to be, clear, the frets are not perfectly radiused. I just, bent them a little bit more because I know they've got to go down to like a 7 1/4, which this fretboard is. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll probably clean off these frets, but I'm going to hand bend them to the radius. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not fitting them to the slot, just making them fit this radius perfectly. Okay, now before I start actually fitting the frets into the slots, we've got all the radiuses done. They're just sitting over there. So I have a little feeler gauge here. And if you go like this here, the pen mark just about disappears, which is what I want. Now if I do it here, the pen mark doesn't disappear. You see that? Doesn't disappear there at all. And the pen mark, I'll take this fret, see if I can see this, put that underneath it. You can see that from the tang to the bottom of the fret, there's a little bit of space there. You can see the pen mark. So when I put it into the slot, see there's plenty of space there. But I noticed on the ends there's less. There's less on the ends. So I'm going to take care of that. And I also, this fret, I ground down all the barbs. So I can also take the fret and I could press that into any slot. It's tight there in the corners. I can see that. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can. Right there. It doesn't exactly go down all the way there. See, we don't want that. We want the fret to be like it is all along here. It's all the way down. So I'm going to probably take my Dremel tool and take care of that, because I want to make sure the fret's going to go in all the way. And there's got to be space for the glue in there too. So that's what I'll be doing next. Look at that old pencil. Too bad that didn't say 54. Maybe I have some money here. So I have this Dremel tool with this little cutter, and always use it for fretting, fret slots. And my little gauge there goes into the 11th fret really good. So what I did was I set it up here. So that's how deep I want this little cutter to go, because I got to work a couple of the edges a little bit. And there could be some, junk or debris in there. So I'm just going to go over the whole fretboard like that, especially on the ends. So this will take a little while, but it'll give me a nice clean area. And we'll make sure that the frets are down all the way across. There's nothing holding the frets tang from going down into this fret slot all the way. See, even though there's no tangs on it, it doesn't even want to go in this one all the way. Oh, there it goes. That looks actually pretty good. But I know some of the ends, they're just not deep enough. So I'm just going to run it through there. I know I can't get it out. So here we go. Okay, so usually I get every fret perfectly set to go in all the way. I'm not doing it that this time. What I'm going to do is I've got the first two, and they don't, here, let me turn this one light out of the way and maybe you can get a look at this. If you look, you can see the fret's not down all the way, but it's close. So what I'll do is put the glue in and hammer it with my little orange dead blow hammer. Then I'll put my clamp on here and clamp this whole thing up. I'll hammer the end of the frets down a little bit, let that sit. Then I can get these next two ready to go. So I'm kind of going to do them, instead of having all the frets where they can press in perfectly, I'm going to use the hammer to set them in and then clamp it. And you got to have everything ready. I got my clamps, I've got my glue, and I'm testing it. Always test it. I made this mistake once on a Washburn. I put the first two frets in, glued them, clamped them. That never hardened. It was a nightmare. And I make, out of anything cardboard, you can make a way to make sure you get the glue in there and spread it around. So I think I'm ready. I am just about ready. All right, it's been over an hour. Let's see what we got here. Besides an incredible mess. Okay. Pull this tape back and get a look. Oh, that fret's laying down in there nice. That looks real good. I'll get the camera in as soon as I get all this tape off here. Oh, it's way down in here. Yeah, in the past, I've left the glue clamp for like 20 minutes, but this time I left it in for an hour. I had some other stuff going on. Well, that looks good. Let me get the camera in closer and get a shot of it. Well, there we go. Pressed in nice. Pressed in real good. So it looks like there might be a tiny bit of glue. Squeeze out. I'll clean that up and we'll get the next couple in. Cool. Check that out. I had it clamped pretty tight. So I'm going to have to redo this. Presto, all the frets are in. So now, I don't like to cut the ends because I glued them in and I don't want to disturb the glue. So what I do is I'm going to use my Dremel, but I don't want to get them too hot because the glue will melt. So I kind of go a little bit all along, and I'm going to do that next. And now it's just taking a file and getting all these fret ends all level. It's so much fun. Okay, here's where we are. The bottom, I think, is a little closer to being done. And one thing about this neck, it was already so jacked up. You can see the spots where it's dark. I might have hit it a bit too, but I'm really not that worried about it because it had so much damage on the sides by the frets. So I'm not that worried about it. It's my own guitar. The whole neck could have been refinished. I just thought, I'm not going through all that. I want this guitar to be a player. And it's got that dent right there. And it's got one here under the tape. And all these nail marks on it. It's pretty jacked up. Then it has that big dent. So it's more like a workhorse, man, than a actual show pony. Yeah, I got a little bit more to go on this side. Come on, focus. Yeah, so that, if you're going to start doing this, realize that you really got to be careful because you will damage the fretboard. This guitar, it already was so messed up. That's the edges. Especially you can see where it's dark. Yeah, if you see something light, that might be something I just did. But yeah, I'm not really that worried about it. I only fret guitars for myself. So we'll keep moving. Get this baby done. Really looking forward to getting it all together. I am so stoked to get these frets in. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to tape up the fretboard, make it straight, and use the fret rocker and take care of any high frets. And then I'll start dressing them all. And I'm going to polish the ever-loving tarnation out of these frets. Also, have you ever seen a $40,000 watch? Well, you still haven't. That was $39.99. All right, let's start taping. So now I have leveled any frets that are slightly higher, and we're talking like 1,000, 2,000ths of an inch. It's really not much, but I like to do that before I even dress all the rest of them. Like I don't plan on going over this with a file. You know, I've used this rocker through the whole thing to find any high frets. All these frets are level, so now I can just level them all. And I'll start off with 400. It's already been done with 400. I'll do it all by 400. I'll go 6, 8, 1,000, 15, 2,000, 2,500, and then I'll polish them. They're going to be absolutely gorgeous when I'm done. Because that's how I roll. Because I really like this guitar, and I want the frets to be really perfect. So that's where we're at. I'll start dressing. All right, I went up to 3,000, and a lot of people wouldn't ever go up that high, and they certainly wouldn't polish it after that, but I would. I'm going to use this for all you mother lovers, and I'm just going to do it by hand because it'll only take a minute to do it because it's already polished up to 3,000. So let's polish. All right, take a look at these frets. Up to 3,000 and then polished. Everything's done now. All I got to do is put it on the guitar and get the nut done. And that's it. It's finished. Let's polish. Wow, they look beautiful. A little bit of extra time really makes a big difference. It's funny, you see these beautiful, perfect frets and then this banged up fretboard, but that's okay. Things happen. All right. All right, we have the nut, and I'm going to have to cut off this little piece here. And start fitting the nut in here. Okay, we got the nut all in place. And now it's just getting the guitar together, getting the strings on it, cutting the nut, and that should wrap it up. All right, she's back together, and Now I'm going to fit the strings. The nut is just kind of sitting in here. I'm hoping I don't have to shim it because the frets are so tall. So I'm going to throw some strings on here and we'll start setting this up. Look at this. That's why you got to be careful with your strings when you throw them away, especially if you have a cat. You don't want the cat or the dog to run their nose or their eye into like a G-string. That could be a drag for them. Without a doubt, this was the quickest nut I've cut in my whole life. If you use these nuts, make sure you go slow, because my files, man, they just burn right through this stuff. So I've got kind of a little bigger than usual. I've got them set to kind of a fat 12/1000 of an inch. And oh, when you do cut the nut, make sure the neck is straight the way you like it. If the neck has some relief in it and you cut the nut like this and then you take the relief out and the neck is straight, these strings will be laying on the frets. So always make sure you got that neck nice and straight, or with the relief that you want, if you do want relief. All right, my monster jumbo frets are in. The thing plays great. I got pink slinkies 9-42. And it plays real good. Here's how high the action is. And it doesn't fret out. It does not fret out, even though it's 7 1/4. I don't know, maybe that's more myth than anything. I don't know. Because I thought it's going to fret out on bends. It doesn't. I do some wicked bends. Here's the action at the nut. I think I did it 12/1000 of an inch. I usually do it 11. So yeah, this is a wicked guitar. The tuners work so good. It just stays in tune so good. It's like the neck is really stout. It's really strong neck. And you really notice that. If you've ever played a guitar and you just move the guitar around a little bit and you notice the guitar is going, wow, wow, wow. This is not like that. The one thing I did notice is the earlier USA ones like this, there's a whole bunch with the 2 pickup. They have that they don't have like a 3-ply pick guard. They just have like a painted metal pick guard, and then it kind of folds over here. It looks kind of ugly, weird. But there's a bunch of those. But I noticed when you get into the made in Japan bullet ones like this, I could only find a couple of the 2 pickup ones. They're all 3 pickup, like a little mini Strat. So this guitar is a lot scarcer. Now, does that mean I won't modify it? How much is this guitar really worth? If it was all original, had some frets left that were original and, clean without all the dings in it. I mean, look at the side of the... I didn't do that. That was like that. I would say 475, maybe to 575, maybe 6, maybe a little over 6 if it had a case. So it's not really worth that much. So I think this should go and either put one of these in or just put, the little 2-screw one over here that's curved. Put that in. This could be used for a switch to put these out of phase, like a lead 2. Remember the lead 2? They just reintroduced that. That might be cool. I don't see a reason to change the pickups. They sound good. To me, it feels like a more comfortable Stratocaster because the body is just it's a little narrower and it's just a little bit shorter. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. I mean, these are cool. If you ever get a chance to get one of these, and somebody wants to trade for a Squier Classic Vibe 70s, which I paid $100 for, say yes. I'd much rather have this than that. This is 40-year-old guitar made in Japan. So anyway, that is the video, the fretting video. I have not fretted a guitar in a while. It went really smoothly. It went so smoothly this time. And I didn't really fit each fret to each slot. I made sure they could go in without too much drama, but I put the glue on and I hammered them on. You saw me do that. And I kind of like that. And I put the clamp on. I kind of like that method. It really sped it up. Anyway, you want to leave a comment, feel free to. If you enjoyed this, you could subscribe, hit the thumbs up, give me a hand that way. That would be awesome. And I do have a piece of paper that has all the fret jobs I've done. There hasn't been that much, like maybe 13. I don't know where it is. I got to find it and put this on. So one more fret job in my my arsenal. Yeah, it's not that hard. You just, a little bit of common sense. You can't be in too much of a rush. It makes all the difference. Now this thing, you can do wicked bends. The frets were so small. Yeah, these are cool. I like these guitars. Anyway, that is it for today, and I will see you next time.